So, progress update on irrigation mission. We have added a new attachment to our well. So this is the water that comes out of our well or borehole. It comes through here. This is then a filter because you can't have any sort of particles or debris in your drip irrigation because it will clog up the little emitters. This is then just a hose that goes to the tank, so it goes over here, along here, front of the house, Marissa, down here, along the side of the house to our tank, our first tank. So we're calling this tank 1, and tank 1 will irrigate this area, so it'll irrigate the lavenders and the stuff around the well and the dome back here. And then it will also irrigate the grapevine sort of corridor. We're calling this the west garden, and then the south garden over there, and the veg beds obviously. So we've raised the tank up slightly with these rocks, but we're also on top of this hill, so hopefully that gives us enough fall to use just gravity to feed these drip irrigation things. It'll be a little bit interesting to see if the pipe can go up onto the raised beds and then feed the raised beds as well, or whether that would be too much to handle. But we can see in terms of the tank, it's currently being filled up at the moment. You can see still need to figure out what happened, how to use this lid. There's this kind of thing in the middle, not really sure what it is. We're going to do some research and find that out, because we don't want to leave any gaps here. We just want to put the pipe in without any gaps, because otherwise mosquitoes will kind of lay eggs in there, etc. And then down here is where the outlet. We've got a really big outlet that's like 45 millimeters. So then we've got a series of little adapters to step it down to the size that we need for the drip irrigation. So then from here we'll just run a 16 millimeter drip line that splits in two ways. One of them goes this way and the other one goes this way. So yeah, we'll see. This is the plan for the irrigation system. We've got the well, we've got tank 1, which we just looked at, which is going to split in two ways, and then we have tank 2, which is going to go over there on top of the hill. This is tank 2, but before we go place that one, we're building a little kind of stand for it to try and raise it slightly more, because it's up on a bit of a plateau. And yesterday we were doing a bit of trying to figure out how to make it work, because our logs are all slightly different diameters. So we kind of figured out, and in the process, this is the first cut on the first log. So basically it's going to be this kind of Z shape, where then I make a cut on the top here. Yep. So that the next log sort of sits flush on top of it, and then we have this kind of interlocking mechanism. And hopefully the measurements are right, and we can make it level. And then these are the 4 legs over here. So we're raising it up by about 60 centimeters. So hopefully that should be enough fall just to get it from where it's being positioned behind the van to come this way and to go that way along the hedges basically. 3 of them, was cutting the 4th one, all going very well, and then I made a big boo-boo where I cut the same side twice, which is really frustrating. So I finished building this frame, finally. Lots of ups and downs, lessons learnt, but yeah, it's done. This is how it looks. This is the tank. We just put it on top and it fits really nicely. So basically we've got these 4 sturdy beams for the feet. Each one of those has got these 4 smaller beams sitting on top of it that are kind of like halved, so that the top half and the bottom half, they kind of like lock into each other. And then there's a large like bolt, or not bolt, like a just massive screw, basically like a wood screw that goes in here straight through the center of the main leg, and then 2 additional screws just because this didn't work out that well. I think I drilled the hole too big, or the exact size of the bolt, so it didn't have that much grip if you lift it, but that's okay. I think the main thing that it's providing is kind of like this stability that's going down to lock it all together, and then these 2 screws which go down into the wood kind of like just tighten it up and hug it together. Then we've got these cross struts, which also have pretty chunky like bolts in them, go into the wood, into the main leg, which provide kind of horizontal stability so that it's not going to fall over this way or that way. And then in the center we added this cable as kind of like a cross like diagonal stability. Basically cut a little notch in the side, tightened it up, tensioned it, attached these little screws to stop it from kind of warping in that kind of direction. But yeah, all done, which is cool. Now I'm just going to give it a quick coat of oil, of linseed oil, just to give it a little bit more sort of weather and bug protection. So hopefully it lasts a nice long time, and then we'll move it out to the field over there behind the caravan. Don't know how it's going to fit through this little archway, but we'll figure that out. Yeah, and then we position it, and then we can start setting up the irrigation line and the drip feed and the hoses and stuff like that. Yeah, job's good. This is the rather complex reducer and valve setup that we have. This comes from the massive valve that's on the end of the tank. This will then go into the irrigation system, so it will drip down to the drip feed for the hedges, and then this will be another valve for us if we want to use fill up a bucket or whatever, or potentially even attach a hose to that if there's enough pressure to water some of the trees that are in the field. Doesn't sound like we're spraying anymore. So we're having this problem where the water from the well ran out basically when we tried to fill up the other tank. We got to about 600, you can see me, we got to about 600 litres and then it just stopped filling basically, and that's a bit of a mystery. We called a bunch of people, spoke to a plumber that helped us before with the pressure of the tank, and then the neighbours, and it's a little bit of a mystery as to why that might happen. It could either be that someone installed a well further up the chain from you, because there's these kind of underground rivers apparently. I don't really understand much about it. So if someone installs a well there, then they're essentially taking the water that you could be using. So until their well is full, yours won't get any water. Either that, or the other option, which is more positive, not positive, but more optimistic, is that the well is just really dirty. It is really old, and apparently it's never been cleaned. We spoke to the previous owners, so it could just be full of like silt and stuff, and you can get someone to come out and clean it up. That silt can block the pump itself and mean that the water isn't coming in, but it can also block the kind of the borehole itself, so water doesn't seep into the borehole freely. So yeah, we'll keep monitoring the water level. We've figured out how to measure the water now, so we'll keep monitoring the water level over the next few weeks, especially if it starts raining in April, which it hopefully will do, April showers, and then we'll make a plan, because if the water level stays really low, then we have a problem. So we can try and clean it, and hopefully that fixes it. And if that doesn't fix it, then we've got a bigger problem. But we're going to be installing gutters, and we're going to be in the future doing like grey water recycling, hopefully from the house after we do the renovation. So we'll have multiple water options, but the well would ideally be one of those options, or the borehole. But yeah, hopefully this drip irrigation system will help us use less water, or use water more efficiently in a more targeted way. This tank is tank number 2. Tank number 1 serves the veg beds in the garden over there, and tank number 2 is going to serve these hedges along here, along the side of the road. Tank number 1 is on the other side of the caravan over there. Oh, actually you can see it to the left, the caravan, just behind Marissa. So serve these hedges as well as the hedges along this side, and then also give us a little bit of an access to the water through the tap if we need to, so we can water the trees along here. But yeah, that was kind of the prep or the setup for the irrigation. That's kind of step 1, and then step 2 is like actually laying down the pipes and the emitters. I appreciate my hat looks really silly, but you know, protect yourself from the sun, although I am wearing a vest. Anyway, yeah, that's part 1. Tune in next time, part 2, hopefully next week.